See, so welcome to another episode of the Mesmerise podcast, and this time we have Eric Goodman of My Own Maker. How you doing, mate?
How's it going, guys?
Good. So, yeah, you guys approached me quite swiftly. I'm getting like back-to-back interviews at the moment, so it's like, oh god, trying to sort of organise everything. It's like, shit, I need to organise everything now. It's not like a one interview a week deal, but that's interesting. You guys you're actually my first American guest.
Oh, wow. So this is like virginous territory here.
Exactly. Don't worry. You don't have to feel intimidated by the fact that I'm English. I'm also Swiss German, so a little bit of there's a halfway point.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So, tell me a bit about My Own Maker.
My Own Maker started off as a project that Mike Festa, who's our drummer, and I put together. It started, I was living in New York, and we were getting together every couple of days and just, working on some music, and things started to evolve. And sorry about that. And I ended up moving out of New York and moving to, I'm in South Carolina now. So everything kind of fizzled out. And now with coronavirus being what it is and everyone's trapped in their houses and bored as shit, Mike sent me a text message and he's like, dude, send me some fucking guitar tracks. I'm bored. I want to start drumming. And I just started just looping some riffs, sending it to him, and things just kind of evolved into like real songs that we just started writing. And we realized, hey, we could do this thing virtually and make this like a recording project. And we were fortunate enough to do some work with Tim Ripper Owens, formerly of Judas Priest and Ice Earth. And the guy is just a phenom, as far as
he's insane as a vocalist.
Yeah,
he's absolutely meant. I've seen him live once, and fuck.
Yeah, he's amazing to work with. I sent him lyrics and just guidelines, and he just took this shit and just fucking evolved this into like something incredible. And we were very fortunate to work with the guy. And we have a second song coming out. We're going to probably drop it within the next week or two. We're just putting the final mastering touches to it. That song is going to be called The Safe Word. We'll hit the world with that soon enough. And, we're exploring some other vocalists. We're trying to find somebody of that caliber. So if there's anyone out there that's, of like Tim Ripper Owens, please feel free, hit us up. And we'd like to keep this thing moving forward. We're doing a lot of writing. We're just going to keep propelling forward.
I mean, there's an older fella that some might say sounds very similar to Tim Ripper Owens from the UK.
I'm open to hearing anybody, as long as you could take, I don't want to say that we're doing like brutal riffs or anything like that. Everything we're doing, it's timeless. It's got thrash roots. I mean, Mike grew up on his style of music. I grew up on liking what I like. And somehow between the two of us, we came up with this style that's just, it's a beautiful blend. I mean, him with his more, he's more into like bands like Queensryche. He's more into Nevermore, more of the symphonic thrash. And I grew up on everything from death metal to brutal thrash, the Bay Area thrash scene, bands like Forbidden and stuff like that. And, and I like the symphonic metal also. I'm a huge Nevermore fan. So, somehow we came up with this blend of, styles, and it's just really working out for us.
Yeah, it's come out really well, and it's sounding really good. I mean, the fact as well as you're saying, you guys, the first song that you've released has Tim Ripper Owens in it, which is such a strong start. It's so strong.
We're hoping that that's going to sort of be an ace card for us, where it'll help us find the right talent, to front this project. It's this came from us sitting on our thumbs. We had, we were bored. It's everyone's kind of trapped in their houses, and we were like, what the hell are we going to do with ourselves? And yeah, I mean, I've never stopped writing. I'm always writing. I get the willies if I don't play guitar for 5 minutes, so I'm always grabbing it. And I sing also, but for this project, we wanted something that's like stellar. And when Mike said, "Hey, there's a chance we might be able to work with Tim," and we reached out to him, and he liked the material. Um, it was just like, holy shit, the guy's singing my fucking words. This is like, it's a cool feeling. So we'd like to keep that, just keep the momentum, keep driving this thing forward, see where we can take it.
It's incredible to think that in like 10 years ago, you wouldn't imagine that. Like just having someone like Tim Ripper Owens in like a start off band like that.
You know what? Mike came from playing, a lot of shows. He played in projects where he played with some pretty well-known people, opening for well-known people, and myself included. I was playing in bands. We were both signed to independent labels, things like that. And you get a taste for, what it would be like to actually make it. And then I think when you get to our age where, I'm in my late 40s and so is Mike, you get to this point where you're just like, okay, let's kind of give up on the dream, but dabble in it for fun. And that's kind of like what you do it. You do it for the love of music. And this kind of reeled us back into, wow, maybe it could actually become something more. And like whenever I go to see bands play live, I go to a lot of, I used to go to a lot of clubs. I always enjoyed the local bands a lot more than sometimes seeing the big headliner, just because you're seeing the local talent. You're seeing people that are really hungry, that are just putting their all into it. So, I'm all into, support local music, keep local musicians going.
I mean, yeah, it's you were saying earlier with the fact of coronavirus, everyone's just bored as fuck, just being stuck inside. But I find there's a great positivity with that as well. As you said, you've managed to embrace your project further and actually make something of it. Like the amount of people that I've seen that have done more now during the entire lockdown is incredible. I mean, like as an example, my band, we've been writing our entire album during lockdown. Some songs were already there, so on and so forth. But to me, it's like, oh, I don't have to go socialise. That means more time on the guitar. Sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, technology also plays a good part in that because now you want and you get like these incredible results. Whereas in the old days, it's like you had to go to a studio, pay a fortune. Now everything is like online mastering, and it's attainable for everybody now. So,
And that's the incredible thing with it. Everyone can have a great quality sounding record with peanuts, really. You don't have to have a fortune to be able to make that. Which I find it bizarre when you do have a lot of people who are still hung up about the whole, oh, I need to go in the studio and do it. I need to do it like this and that. So, no, you just need to take 10 minutes and learn it yourself. You can do it easily.
absolutely, absolutely. I've gotten better results back in the day using GarageBand than a lot of high-end studios that I shelled out tons of money to go into. My advice to any musician that's at home bored as shit right now, you have a Mac, get on GarageBand, learn it as best you can, try to get good sounds. If you can, download Reaper. There's a whole shitload of programs out there that you can get good at. I mean, that's what I'm using now is Reaper, especially for metal music. It just works great. There's just so many great guitar IRs out there you could buy for like 30 something dollars. You could have a whole arsenal of like $4,000 heads at your disposal. So it's you can do a lot.
I mean, IRs are great. I've only gotten interested myself over the last 6 months properly. And oh
Okay.
my god, the amount that you can do with them is insane. I've recently bought a plugin. What's it called? The Stella, the STL Stella, I think.
Yep,
Essentially,
I
you
know.
can load. You can load up for people that don't know. You can load up 8 IRs at once, blend them all together, and then you can just export it as one IR. And it sounds
There's,
incredible. I've gotten such good results from it.
yeah, there's some really good ones. I just started tinkering around with Jens Bogren. He's a metal producer. He did Sepultura and all sorts of things. The guy's like a genius when it comes to recording metal, and he's got a series of impulse responses also. So if you go to, I got the website up, bogrendigital.com. For like $38 or whatever it is, you can buy, all his amps. I mean, Engel Savages and just crazy things. And these are the actual IRs that bands like Sepultura just did on their brand new album. So you can get the sound. I mean, of course you need the skill and you need good guitars and you have to know how to use the DAW really well. But the world is getting smaller in such a way where people know how to do things by themselves and create. And, it's definitely a creative world. So I love the direction it's going.
It's
I remember back in the day, I mean, we would have like, little 4 tracks, put our cassette in there, the little Tascam, okay, and then we're going to bounce these 3 tracks to this 1 track save tracks. And, we'd make like the master tape and we're like, oh, this is great. And then we'd go to concerts handing out tapes, and it's definitely a cool world now. Now it's like everything is just streaming, and
it is great. I mean, just the availability in itself is incredible. The amount of stuff that you get to hear now, that there's no way you would have been able to afford to buy all those CDs, all these vinyls, all these cassettes. There's just no way. Now you can do it, and it helps the artist in some ways as well to see, okay, this is where people are listening. This is where I go and play gigs.
so let me ask you a question. So what did you think of the track? Because it's only been out for a week now.
I found it very interesting in the sense of there's a. Now, you see, I listened to it about 20 minutes ago, and now I'm trying to remember it. I need to listen to the song several times before I remember it completely, but it had a very interesting direction in the sense of it was very brutal but very melodic at the same time. I definitely did hear the death metal influences in the track. What threw me, and which was also a pleasant surprise, was the little acoustic section, which is like, oh, okay, there's an acoustic guitar, sweet.
Kind of takes you into a little bit of a moment before throwing you back into hell.
Exactly. Now, as you were saying earlier on, you guys are quite influenced by death metal. What would you say? Who would you say are your like the most influential musicians to yourself?
um, I would truthfully say bands like Nevermore are a huge influence. Musically, bands like when I say death metal, I was more just illustrating that my spectrum of what I like to listen to. Like 1 minute I'll be listening to Nevermore, next minute it's classic Metallica, 5 minutes later it's like 70s rock, and then all of a sudden Thy Art Is Murder comes on, and I'm cranking the shit out of that, just because it's brutal. There's something in pretty much every genre of music that I could find something that I appreciate, except maybe gangster rap and but I mean, music is music, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. The band I was doing before exploring this with Mike was I was doing more of like soulful hard rock. If you can imagine, like Metallica meets Steely Dan, I was somewhere in that pocket, and I was just exploring something different. And then that fell apart, and it's that's pretty much been my whole life. It's just like an evolution of sound, and I've now kind of gone full circle. So I'm back to my roots, what I enjoy playing, and it's just one of those things. I'm like a child, put a guitar in my hand, an amplifier, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, how loud does this thing go? How much can I crank the distortion on this? And it's just like, woo! I remember being like a 9-year-old kid, my first guitar, and plugging in. I had a shitty Ibanez X series, which was like $100 guitar. Plugged it into my little PV, and oh look, some distortion. I would just sit there cranking out like Iron Man riffs, thinking like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. I can't wait till I can do this, for the rest of my life. And I think all people kind of need that I don't want to call it a delusion, but it's a nice thing to put your head into, no matter what your dream is when you're a kid, to say, hey, this is what I'm going to put my love, my passion, and it kind of follows you through the rest of your life. And it's just funny to think like one day I'll be a gray-haired 90-year-old, wow, am I still going to like thrash music? Am I going to still want to play this stuff? I don't know. It's kind of cool.
No, it's great. Music is such a cathartic thing. It's such a... It just gives you such an emotional release that almost nothing else compares to it. I think that's how a lot of people feel when they pick up an instrument. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of instruments, what has been your favourite instrument? Like, what has been your favourite guitar?
Um,
Unless you're
I,
secretly like a
it's
huge
going to
lover
sound
of bass.
throughout my life, I've switched a bunch of times. I used to be an Ibanez guy way back, and then I switched, and I discovered Zion Guitar Technology, which is a small uh, custom company, and I bought a few of their guitars, sold them all off, and then for the last couple of years, I was using PRS guitars. And now I just got my hands into using Ormsby guitars. So I'm actually getting ready to buy another Ormsby. Just super sick multi-scale guitars. It takes you about, once you pick one up, you look at it and you go, wow, this is just bizarre. And once you put your hands on it, within 5 minutes, it just feels natural. And the sound that comes out of it is just, it's ridiculous. But right now it's like I would say PRS and Ormsby are like my two go-tos.
They are beautiful looking guitars, though, the Ormsby's.
They are nice. And for their production line, you can get a guitar for, I know it seems like a lot, but you're getting like top level craftsmanship for under $2,000. You're getting something where it's just a flawless instrument. They go over these things top to bottom. You're going to find out no sharp frets. Everything is polished. It's all stainless steel, graphic, nuts at the top. It's just, you're not going to get any dead frets, no buzzing. It's just a flawless instrument. I've bought, $1,500 PRS guitars where it buzzes at the 13th fret or something.
Yeah.
It's, I want an instrument that just plays great, and the Ormsby's are wonderful. So definitely get your hands on one if you ever can.
Oh, now you see, I've actually gone and ordered to myself a solar guitar with an Evertune
Solar.
bridge. Since I've been in lockdown, I've been slight. I'm sure you have that as well as a fellow guitarist, which is sometimes you'll start listening to a guitarist, you start sort of like getting into their gear and things, start almost obsessing. It's like,
Yep.
oh, that's really cool. Oh my god, I want this and that and that. Oh fuck. But no, I ordered a Flying V, and over the last few months, I've been really looking like Evertune bridges and thought, well, I am recording, and I'm going to be playing guitar more live now because I'm predominantly the vocalist in my band. So, doing that, so, okay, cool. I can grab the guitar out of the bag. Done. I don't have to do any tuning. Nothing, just ready to go. So I'm very much looking forward to until that thing gets here.
Yeah, and I love the way Ola England plays, and from what I understand, as far as a manufacturer goes, he's just a great person as far as dealing with his QR. I've heard stories where he just, if anyone has a problem, he personally deals with it.
Oh yeah.
He interacts with his customers, so he's not like a big rock star where he's out of the picture. So, and I like his style of playing too. He's really good.
Yeah, because
So
he's, as you said, you quite like Nevermore. I know he's very much an Evermore fan as
oh
well.
yeah,
I feel like I've sort of turned into a bit of a stalker at this point. It's like, oh yeah, I can tell you all this shit about Ola. It's great. Um,
I
I
watch him
did,
all the time.
but before I like really got into like solar guitars and tone and gear and everything, and before I started actually really watching Ola's stuff, I actually managed to meet him in London a few years ago for like a, I think it was like a product thing. I can't, it's like Focusrite, something along those lines. And I remember I went up to him, and I've told this story before on the show, but people haven't seen it yet. I went up to him, and for some reason my mind went blank. So like, oh hi, and he's like, oh hi there, dude. It's really nice to meet you. Like really awful Scandinavian impression, but it's like, oh, it's really nice to meet you. It's like, oh, it's like, I'm like, you convinced me to get a Helix. I love my Helix. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's really great to hear, dude. And like, fuck, I can't bring myself to get any more conversation out of myself. Shit. And he was the loveliest guy. He's such a sweet guy, and I'm sure he was thinking, what a dick.
No, I'm sure he wasn't. It's, trust me, I've geeked out so many times meeting people throughout my life also, and then you walk away like, God, it must have sounded like such a fag. It's just, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I remember years back, I got dragged out of all concerts when I was younger. Somebody dragged my ass to a fucking Striper concert. And, at that time, everything was like Slayer and, Cannibal Corpse and this and that. And here I am standing in the middle of like a pit, a pit. It was just people standing there like, but at a Striper concert, they were really good, admittingly, musically, they were super tight, but I got dragged backstage afterwards. And I got to meet Oz Fox, the guitarist, and I remember sitting backstage with him, and all these girls are coming between us, going, "I like your hair, you're handsome." And I look at him, I'm like, "Dude, what kind of an amp was that?" And he goes, "Thank you." And he sits down, and I had the guy for 45 minutes showing me, and I remember he was using a Triaxis and a Boogie at the time, and I had one also, and the two of us were talking about Boogie, geeking out, and it's just kind of a cool thing. So yeah, I mean, I think guitarists just love talking about this shit, and off the record, if you and I ever got together, I'm sure we can geek out and share shit, and that's how I think that's just how you grow. Also, your sound evolves, and
I think, because when I went to college, I did a music tech course. We had a lecturer who would always refer to microphones, like anything that you're interested in, as boys' toys. Like men are just overgrown children. We
yeah.
we always have one thing that we obsessively fixate on, whether it's cars, whether it's guitars, whether it's sports, and so on and so on.
Well,
We always have something that we're obsessed about.
it's funny. My wife just still doesn't get that about me. Since we moved to South Carolina, it's like all I want to do is collect more music gear and guns. That's like those are my go-tos. And especially sitting in quarantine, I get bombarded with emails now. It's just like, oh, honey, look at this new guy. Oh, look, this place is having a sale on ammunition. I got to stock up. And she's like, what the hell for? And I'm like, I just want it. It's cool. And same thing with guitars. It's guitar geeking. It's cool shit. It's
It makes you feel better about yourself. And if you feel like you're a shit guitarist, it's like, oh, I'll just get a new guitar. I feel like a, I feel like I'm a really great player now. Fantastic. Oh, one. Yeah, and we're back to recording. I love technology. Yes, but where we just talk about geeking out and just men just all having boys' toys, which are absolutely amazing. Love microphones, love guitars, love all this gear.
Well, life is short. You might as well enjoy the shit you have, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I drive a piece of shit car. I don't care. Car gets me to A to B. That's all it needs to do for me. Guitar, no, no, no. I can't hold this £100, $100 guitar. No fucking way.
No.
I play in style, dude.
Or if I'm going to suck, it's going to suck looking good and sounding good.
I mean, that's the thing. I remember going back to the solar guitar, because originally the one I was going to get, because I predominantly play 7 strings, and the one I found was like a Les Paul, but not quite. It had like a bunch of extra like corners and shit. So it's like a Les Paul, but it's not a Les Paul. It's like an advanced Les Paul. It's really edgy and shit. It's like just edgy and shit. It's great. They didn't have it, so the store that I called, like, we don't have that, but we do have the 7 string with the Flying V. I thought, oh, do I want to commit to a Flying V? Yes, because they're cool as fuck. They're like the race cars of guitars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think when you have a cool guitar also, it inspires you to want to play it more also. It kind of calls out to you like, hey, I'm that $1,500 thing that you just bought, play me, you know, and it kind of calls you.
It guilt trips you into playing it. Please, play me, play me. I was so expensive, play me.
And then your wife gets to yell at you like, you haven't touched that thing in 2 weeks, you know? You just spent all this money on it. Oh, right.
I have that with the 8 string. My other half actually got me an 8 string for my birthday last year. It's like, oh, you never play it. You don't record anything on it. It's because the other guitarist doesn't have an 8 string. I can't record songs for the band like this.
You know what? I've toyed around with extra string guitars, 7, 8. And they are cool. The problem is a lot of the material I'm writing, it's not power chord material. I use a lot of like these dissonant jazz chords and some weird phrasings, and for me to have to now go to a 7 string or an 8 string, on one hand, maybe moving forward writing new material, it would be a cool thing and it would open up like Pandora's box for me. But on the other hand, all the material that I have, it just wouldn't work. So I just use a B standard tuning, and works really well, which is why the multi scale, you're getting the extra scale length on the low strings, doesn't get floppy, and it's exactly the tool that I need.
And everyone plays how they play. Like you play with your own comfort.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and I'm not trying to be anybody else, and I think that's important for all musicians. You know, it's okay to like other musicians, to say, hey, I love what this guy does. And maybe you can try to learn some of their techniques, but to try to emulate and sound exactly like them, you know, why? You know, to me, it's important to carve your own path and sound like you.
Oh yeah, for definite. I mean, unless you want to be in like a cover or tribute band, or you're definitely like setting out like, oh, I want that guitarist to kick the bucket so I can replace him. But that's a lot of dedication just to be in a band. Have I lost him again? Oh no, you're back. You've dropped out for a second. There we go. No, yeah.
Yep. No.
No, cool. So now I was just saying how, you know, unless you want to be in a tribute band or you want to be in that particular band that you really love, you're sort of just sitting there waiting for the guitarist to kick the bucket, which is just way too much. It's just too much dedication.
You know what? I think for anything, if you're going to be seen as somebody, you know, and this goes for anything, any profession, anything you do, I think you have a choice. You could say, I'm going to be like everybody else and a carbon copy of it, and I'm going to blend in, or you're going to be something where people are going to look to you like, oh, that's pretty innovative, that's different. And it's okay, like as a guitarist, my go-tos when I was a kid growing up was always like Randy Rhoads. If anyone ever asked me like who's your favorite guitarist, it's always Randy Rhoads. It's just my go-to, and I think it even shines through on the way that I like to solo. I When I was a little younger, I remember hearing like sweep arpeggios, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. I got to learn this. And then I started to learn it to see like every other guitarist was starting to do it. And I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing this. Everybody's doing it. So for me to sit there and go, when it sounds like a little video game, like an 8-bit video game, everybody's doing it now. It's like there's just nothing, and it's okay if you want to do it. There are plenty of guitarists out there that I absolutely think kill it. Like Rusty Cooley. That guy is an arpeggio, like just insane, and he uses Ormsby guitars also. But it's not what I want to do. To me, there's not enough soul in it, and I'd rather write things that are, like Slayer, Jeff Hanneman or Kerry King. Well, obviously, I like Jeff Hanneman. I like his solos more. He wrote the more melodic solos. That's why I like Jeff Loomis. I think the guy is just a fucking genius the way he solos. I can't even begin to touch what he does. Or Marty Friedman. I'm not going to try to be them. The world already has them. So I'm just going to try to do what I do.
Exactly. I mean, no, and you're completely right with that. I mean, like sweep picking sounds absolutely amazing, and if you can do that, incredible. I mean, there's some people that do make it extremely melodic, like on the top of my head, Gus G from Firewind.
Yep.
I don't think he does it that often anymore. I think he's tamed himself a bit, because I think he probably did struggle in the end. But no, like sweep, you just need to find a character that you like, that you want to bring to your own character. I find
Absolutely.
that. I think that's more important than anything. If it's a case of, I don't feel like doing solos, I'm predominantly a rhythm player, there's nothing wrong with that. Being a solid rhythm player is so important.
I've played with plenty of rhythm players that have no rhythm. So if you're going to be a rhythm player, be the best one you could be, or it's just hone your craft. That's my advice to like anybody who's, any kid that's at home that's picking up his guitar or whacking, playing pots and pans with mom's knitting needles. Just be the best you can be, and just work at it and just master it the best you can.
And enjoy it. Just do what you're enjoying.
Well, if you don't like it, then why bother?
Girls, always girls.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, there's so many guys that I've never seen the reason. I kind of understand the reasoning behind it, but I never understood, like, why would you want to spend that much time to go? Why don't you just do it because you enjoy it?
True.
But yeah. No, you go ahead, mate.
No. So as far as this project, whoever's watching this, if you got a set of pipes on you, you got some range and aggression, and you're looking to be part of something, kind of exciting, and who knows where the fuck it's going to go. Definitely hook up with us. If you go to our website, myownmaker.com, just shoot us something, an intro, say what's up. We'd love to talk and hook up with other people, see where this thing is going to go. This is still fresh, so we're still a fledgling band, and we'll see what this thing is going to come out to.
I mean, it's sounding fresh, or it's sounding fresh. It's sounding very good. I'm really looking forward to the stuff that you guys are gonna bring out in the future as well.
Wait till the second song next next week it's going to drop. So now I'll tell you the title. It's called The Safe Word. So that's going to drop in about a week, and we'll hit the world with that premiere, and hopefully that'll throw some napalm under the ass of the scene and see where this thing is going to go.
Is it banana cucumber, the safe word?
It's whatever you want it to be. But
So
yeah, that's exactly what it's about.
the first single that you've released, what is the general message behind that?
I wrote that song in a day. The idea of the song, the lyrics took me a little longer, but with coronavirus hitting, my wife and I, we would sit there and just say, okay, let's go on Netflix. Let's find a new series to binge watch. And we just, I started Ozark, and then I was just like, after one episode, like, I'm not feeling it. And some of my friends were like, dude, you got to watch it. Just get past like the third episode and you'll get into it. And we did. We just started binge watching Ozark, and we just blazed through like 3 seasons in like a matter of like a week or two. And the scenes where like the cartel's ripping his toenails off and waterboarding people and stuff, it's just such a fucked up way to interrogate and get information out of people. But I guess it works when you physically hurt somebody. So that song just kind of inspired me to write the lyrics for that song "Villainous," and that's exactly what it's about. It's just about using torture tactics to extract intel. Not condoning it by any means. It's not a cool thing.
It's just writing about the act itself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the beauty of song lyrics, is that you get to storytell things that we'll hopefully never have to experience. And that's also one of the things I think about metal music in general, is that we're not afraid to delve into the darker side. And that's pretty much what it is. It's just something out there, it exists, but we hope that, I hope to never have my toenails pulled off.
Have you seen, there's a picture that's making the rounds at the moment, and it's just the way they've put it together. It's a picture of a nail clipper, and it looks like someone's basically clipped the teeth, like the teeth off with it. And then it's like that person who's had their tooth clipped bites into ice cream. And it's like, oh, no, why would you do this? It's funny though, like it's something so gruesome, we'll laugh about it, but just if that was to actually happen to you as an individual, you just be, it'd be so horrible.
Yeah, but you know what? I think human beings in general, it's kind of like that Tool song, Vicarious. I think that human beings in general are like that, where from our own safety, from our own comfort, we kind of thrive on seeing other people suffer, just to kind of like remind us,
sadists.
Hey, I'm not suffering.
Yeah, I mean, we're as a species, we're just so sadistic. That's another segue to the new song, The Safe Word.
Yeah. That song is pretty much it's pretty straightforward. It's just about I guess there are people that just really thrive off of pain and pleasure, and they don't know where that difference lies. It's almost like you can't have one without the other, and so that's pretty much it. It's about a relationship where people have to be physically abusive to each other to demonstrate love, and that they can't feel the love unless they're feeling pain. And I guess just so you don't go too far, there's got to be some sort of safe word, like like you said, cucumber, banana. So
I'm sure there's someone out there that has that as a safe word, and I have huge respect for that. Because imagine that can really put you out of the mood. So, cucumber banana! But it's interesting because I seem to be discussing BDSM almost on all my shows suddenly. It's bizarre. I feel like I'm going to become like Joe Rogan, where I'll talk about BDSM the same way as he talks about fleshlights. But I think in humans' very nature, we are brought up in a very sort of sadomasochist sort of, like, not power struggle, but like every relationship that you have, whether it is one like a sexual relationship or if it's a platonic relationship, there's always someone that's more dominant than the other in some manner.
I think that's just human nature also, that you have some people that are, I guess they do better when they're told what to do, and then there are people that are just innovative thinkers that know how to carve and be the pathfinder and say, okay, this is the right way to go, let's do it. And then the other person's like, oh, okay. I think it's kind of important to lie somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
not step on everyone's toes, to try to get your way, but at the same time, it's got to be sort of like a give and take. But
Yeah, as you said, it's finding a middle ground because, yeah, too much of anything is unhealthy. Whether it's
setbacks.
yeah, like like alcohol, drugs, uh, exercising, anything. If you're doing too much of it or too little of it, well, maybe not too little of it, but definitely too much.
You can't say that about sex and music.
I mean,
I think most people feel like they're not getting enough sex.
yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think there's a lot of people that all they need is a good dicking, as we say.
And don't have children.
No, I've got cats. I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
Oh, you're a cat guy? I'm a dog guy.
I'm just an animal guy in general. But I've had dogs. Now I've got cats. So it's because the cats are a new thing. It's like, oh, it's a new experience. It's different, and they don't depend on me like dogs do.
I like cats. I can't have them around me if I want to breathe, but
Yeah.
cats they sort of kill me. But I've had everything. I've had every kind of like snake, lizard, toad, turtle. I think the only pet I haven't had are bats, but I got an Amazon parrot. I got dogs. I sold all my snakes. So it's, I think that's one of the other things about, that makes metal people cool is that we're not afraid to be a little weird and eccentric. And I think the older I get, the more like I straighten out, you grow, like I just turned 49 and it's like, I think I'll take the earrings out, and it's just you sort of change a little bit, but you're always fucked up at heart. So I guess you have to be fucked up enough just to write the kind of material that we're going to write. You're never going to see Garth Brooks pick up a 7-string guitar and write a country song on it. So
That'd
in
be
essence,
interesting. I'd like to see that.
it would be interesting. Let's see Garth Brooks start to gent a little bit.
I mean, you've got what's his name, Tobin Abasi from Animals as Leaders. He does a
he's
lot
a
of
genius.
he's so clever.
Check out, since we were talking about IRs, check out his IRs also. He's got some crazy ones out.
Oh, he does. One thing that I love that I've only recently paid attention to, and I'm so annoyed that I've only have, is fisherman pickups, fisherman fluents, which are, for those of you who don't know, they're like a hybrid between active and passive pickups. And to be honest, I've not looked into them enough, but there's a lot of bands that have been using them. On top of my head, Trivium and Deftones use them. It sounds fantastic. It sounds so good.
Half the people have switched over to them. I remember EMGs were like always the big thing, and the only problem with EMGs is your cleans sound like shit while your distortion sounds great, which is why I've always I think I've leaned more towards passive pickups, but you want something that's got the big magnets so you can still get the insane distortion. And that's one of the things I love about the Ormsby, that their signature pickups, they're just in fucking incredible. I mean, they're in the bridge position. They have a pickup called the Nunchucker, which just sounds crazy heavy. And then for your neck position, you have it's called the Della Creme, and it's
Ooh.
beautiful, creamy, sweets. I mean, your solos are just nice and smooth. They glide. But yeah, man, the Fluents, they're great guitar pickups also. I love them.
One out of the sort of big brands, I'd say do sound absolutely incredible. Are Seymour Duncans,
Hmm.
because I've got a pair of. Well, they've been in a box for ages now because I took them out of a what were they, like a Dean Dimer flange, and I sort of realised, no, this is too big for me. I can't play this.
Oh, like the Dime Buckers.
Yeah, no, it's just too big, and it was kind of like a cheap make of the guitar, and I was just like, nah, screw it, I don't want to use it anymore. So I just took the pickups back out. But a friend of mine, also from the States, actually, he let me try out a guitar of his. It was a US Jackson guitar, and he had the Seymour Duncan Black Winter pickups in them, like the black metal pickups, and God, they sounded really good from a genre that prides itself in, using a potato maker to record its sounds. These pickups sound amazing. They're so crisp, and the mids just peak so nicely.
As a guitarist, do you have any like little, I guess, little tricks and things that you do that are like like maybe to your gear, not the way you buy it? Like I have little things that I do. Sounds stupid, but like these are the picks that I always loved. These are the Dunlops, the Ultex, and I've always used Dunlop Ultex picks. Love them. They're great. But what I do, I take a drill, and I know people are going to say, "Hey, there's old picks already with holes in them," but I like these picks. So what I do is I buy big bags of these picks, and I take a little 1/8 inch drill bit, and I drill holes, 2 holes right in the pick. These things do not fall out of my hand for anything. It's great. I have like amazing grip on these. Um, it's just my thing. So
I think, personally, one thing that I do quite a lot, and it's only because I've been only serious about my guitar playing over, I'd say, the last 6 months. Like, I've always played, but only over the last 6 months I've been like, no, I really need to like get on it, really need to get good with it. I always change plectrums a lot. I actually had a five, is it 5 pence? A 10 pence piece, like what Brian May does with his guitar. So I've got a plectrum, which is made out of an old British coin. So I thought,
oh wow.
oh, it's like I'll do that. And I would only do, like, I feel like I'm gonna return to those strings now because I've moved to Ernie Balls again, but I feel like I'm gonna go back to elixirs. So I can use that plectrum with elixirs just because of how well they're built, really. Just the longevity of them. While with Ernie Balls, maybe one session, the high E and B are just going to be fucked. But yeah, I always use different
I
plectrums.
was going to say, try using the DR strings. They're really good. For a long
I
time, I was using DR.
I used to use them. There's just something about them I'm not quite liking. But then again, I'm changing as a guitarist quite a bit at the moment, so who knows? I might actually quite like them now, but I'll see.
Okay. Yeah, the DRs, they have a really good one. The Dragon Skin, they're called. And then, what have I been using? I've been using these a lot also. These are the Didarios, and this is a great line also. The NYXLs, real smooth. They last a long time. They they're nice and bright sounding. I don't like strings that make it sound too saturated or muddy, or I like things to have like a nice bright crisp feel, because you could always muddy it up all you want, but it's got to cut through. So I like strings that sound like really bright.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And the guitar is a mid-heavy instrument, so the brighter is the better, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't like. I completely agree with you. I personally don't like guitars that are too muddy or too low and dark, because then it feels muddy and just feels a bit like
Gets lost.
it can need that push. It needs more to push that tone. Then
Absolutely, man. It gets lost if it doesn't cut through. So you got to shine.
exactly. I mean that's why I've always liked the elixirs, just because they last so long, and they add an extra fatness to your sound, I find, but without adding too much muddiness. But then again, it comes down to what tone you use as well. I mean, what kind of amps do you use?
Um, I've switched off a lot over the years. Um, what I have right here that I tool around a lot. I actually have a Black Star. Um, I've been like a long time for a while. It was Boogie, and then I was using Marshall for the longest time. I had a JCM 900 anniversary, and then I sold that one. And truthfully, most of what I'm doing is IRs, and then I just picked up a nice Black Star, and I'm using a Rev distortion pedal with that, and the Rev is just insane what you get through that. Let's put it this way: I've seen guitarists use the most expensive amplifiers, play live, and still sound like shit. And I've seen some guitarists where they're using cheaper guitars, cheaper amps, etc., and their playing is just stellar. So I think a lot of the time it's not only up to the equipment, it's up to the player. It's in your fingers, um, and that's pretty much it. Look at perfect example. Look at Dimebag. I
Hmm.
mean, that guy, he could play through like a Randall solid state amp using a beat up, old, fucked up Dean guitar, the thing with the headstock with cracks in it and everything else, where he abused the shit out of it. And his sound quality was just superb because it was in his hands. And then I've seen people run out, buy brand new Warhead amps, brand new Washburn Dean guitar because they want to sound just like him, and their sound is just garbage.
That's now you see that I don't. I feel like there's not a lot of guitarists that can say that. Oh, all these people want my guitar. Dimebag's one of the. I don't know what it is, but there's something about Dimebag that everyone wants to sound like him and have a piece of his sort of guitar equipment. You don't have that with guys like Tom Morello or
No,
Metallica.
that's because Dimebag was sort of like the Eddie Van Halen of thrash. He was innovative in that way where he took, because Eddie Van Halen was like such a big influence to him. He was such a big Van Halen geek that he just applied it. And if you look at the Pantera history from the beginning to the end, it was this evolution of how much heavier can you get, and he was always like, "Oh, just wait till the next album, I'll show you." And every album, just it was this evolution, and people were just like, "Whoa," you know. And I think that's what kind of grabbed a lot of guitarists, where they were just like, "Holy shit," the guitar looks mean. I've held those guitars many times, and they're cumbersome as shit.
Oh, it's so heavy.
I mean, the headstock is huge on that thing. It's just, um,
Well, one
how
would
do you
think.
not bump into walls and shit?
Oh, dude, I mean, the amount of people that he must have bumped into must have got cut and shit from those guitars is insane. I mean, what was the. Trying to think that the one with the metal plate on it. Because,
Oh, it's got the steel diamond plate on the front.
yeah,
Yeah, I
fuck
know.
me, that thing must kill. I,
One
I
of my
bet you.
buddies, one of my buddies in New York had a really nice one and had the Confederate flag. It was the Rebel flag, and that was a discontinued guitar, I guess, because of all the hoopla with the Confederate flag. And he had so much trouble selling this thing, surprisingly. So
is that's the thing. Actually, talking about Dimebag, one of the amps from his lot got stolen quite recently, and someone found this out because I think it was like I want to say it's a Randall amp. I could be wrong, but um, someone was selling it on like Facebook Marketplace or somewhere in the States, and one guy was like, "Wait a second, that looks like Dimebag's guitar." So he messaged the guy who looks after it. I was like, "Yeah, that's clearly been stolen."
Oh
So
wow.
they're trying to get that back at the moment. So I don't really understand why people do that. I mean, I do on a monetary side of things, but it's point like why? Like, why would you even do that? Everyone's going to be chasing you. It's the same with who was it? Like Zach Wilde had a bunch of his guitars stolen from his bus, and people just brought it back. So yeah,
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to flog it.
yeah, but I mean, haven't you played shows in the UK where you bring your guitars with you? You're like, okay, and you're sitting there like watching your shit like a
Yeah.
hawk, you know? And that's how I've been also. It's like you're bringing your gear, you're backstage, and I don't take my eyes off my shit for a second. You know, I'm just like, you think like, wow, that guitar ran me 1,300. That one was 1,500. That was a $1,700 guitar. I'm not taking my eyes off that. It's
No,
and I bad when you hear of somebody, like what was the band Havoc? All their shit was stolen too, right in the middle of a tour. So it's
yeah, Static X and Dope had loads of their gear stolen not too long ago, all from their lot. I think about $100,000 worth of gear. It's like, fuck. I mean, come on. It's already difficult enough.
yeah, it's like we're already making peanuts at this game. It's
It's absolutely insane. I mean, yeah. Again, like, why do it? I think Lamb of God had one or two of their guitars stolen a few
oh,
years ago.
Willie's guitars. I think it was his Warbird. I think he got it back though.
I don't remember ever seeing that he ever got it back. Did he actually get it back in the end?
I think so. If not, I hope he does.
Oh, so do I. I mean, yeah,
Or
as you were saying,
did
like,
Rob, the same thing happened to Rob Flynn, a couple of his guitars. And I think they were like I think they were his Dimebag Darrell guitars that were
oh
given to
fuck.
him. And I think they were stolen, and some woman returned it to him.
Oh, good for him though that he's gotten it back. I mean, that's completely that's a gift, really. I don't know. I feel like there's more meaning behind it. It's like, don't steal something that someone got gifted. Come on. But in general, just don't steal. Don't be a douchebag. I mean, as you were saying earlier on with checking your gear while you're playing gigs, don't you feel really shit being like, it's like, oh, someone might steal my shit. Someone might be having a conversation with you. Just like, yeah. Okay, my shit's still here. Good. Let's continue.
Yeah, well, it's the way it is at all the clubs in the States. I mean, you go, your shit's backstage, and all the bands just kind of plop all their stuff backstage. They're waiting for their turn to go out, play, and it's just what's preventing anybody from just kind of going back there and just nabbing something. So it happens. So makes
I
me
mean,
think twice, like, do I really want to buy that expensive thing, and do I want to play live with it? And
it's it's really bizarre to think, but then I don't know. It really depends as well on what you're doing with it and like what kind of gigs you're playing as well. I think there was a keyboardist that me and the bassist from a band talked to. The keyboardist from John Davis from Korn's solo band. We were talking to him, and he's at home. He's got all these like, really nice keyboards, all these nice synthesizers, and we asked, like, what were you using on stage here then? A Behringer. So, oh, so yeah, they work so well live, and if that thing gets fucked, fine. I'm not going to be out thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm still going to be all right. I can just replace it. So that's fair. And to be honest, they do sound relatively fine. It's just the longevity that's questionable every now and again. But then again, I've not bought Behringer in a long, long time.
I hear you.
What would you say, as a guitarist, is your most... What's your your biggest pet hate?
I'm sorry, my biggest what?
Like your biggest pet hate, like something that you pet peeve. Sorry, not pet hate. It's like I hate pets.
Something that I don't like.
Yeah, like
Uh,
is there anything in particular that you like outright avoid?
um, well, arpeggio sweeping is one of them. For me, I mean, for other bands, I listen to it and I think it's good. I have zero interest in doing it for myself. Um, I guess one of my biggest things, my bugaboos is I don't want people being able to say, "Hey, you sound just like this guy." I never wanted that. I don't want people being able to just say, "Wow, it sounds like you took this guy or you copied that guy or clearly this guy is your biggest influence." That's where going back to what I said earlier. I think it's important to try to kind of find what you do well and
Yeah,
to really hone in on that and really work at that. So if and this can play into like any genre of what you're doing, but if there's something you do, be the damn best at that
yeah.
and just keep working at it, and I'm trying to remember the expression. Is it better to to know a little bit of a lot of things or just be a master at one thing? And I'd rather know less things, but just be really damn good at those things. So that's pretty much it. My focus has always been songwriting. I've always been, like when it comes time for me to sit down and pick up my guitar, 9 out of 10 times, it's not me noodling on riffs. It's me trying to write material, come up with actual songs. And once I have a song, and I know the format and how this thing is going to flow, and, then I'll say, okay, this song could use a solo. Let's put a short one here, and that's the point where I'll start to noodle and come up with something. And usually before I even put my hands on the guitar, I'm humming it in my head. I'm trying to come up with some sort of a guitar line that I could actually hum. And then once that happens, then I can start to kind of swoop around it and play.
Okay. I mean, the question was more along the lines of, like, would you avoid, do you not play whammy bars and things like that? But to be fair, that's a fantastic answer. To be honest,
No whammy bars.
they're
for
great.
me.
They sound fantastic, but there's so much upkeep. There's such a bitch to do anything with.
Um, I used to. I mean, I used to have them. And the funny thing is, a lot of times if I had a whammy bar guitar, I would take, it would be like a free floating, like a Floyd system. I would take the whammy bar off of it, not use it for diving, but if anything, I would palm mute and then pull up on the bar, just by putting pressure with the meat of my hand. I would do things more like that, but I find that it always just got in the way and it was just another toy.
Yeah.
Um, and the fact that I like to write my solos melodic, I'd rather really focus on what notes I'm going to put in there, how long I'm going to hold those notes, what phrases. Um, like even the song Villainous, the techniques that I'm doing on the solos, there's nothing like complex that I'm doing. There's like the acoustic part, it's a small little jazz arpeggio that I throw over one thing, and then there's a little fast arpeggio I do like going out of the third verse. That's it. I mean, I don't think every song needs a big solo. It doesn't have to have this big, like, here it comes. I'm not trying to showboat. To me, it's about the song, and if the song calls for it, it cries, hey, the song could use a good solo, then I'll come up with something good. If not, then,
I've, okay, I think at this stage, I think this is a great place to finish the actual podcast. Now, before we do, is there anything else that you wanted to, like any shout outs, any last messages or anything?
check out our website, myownmaker.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. If you're an aspiring vocalist and you think you have what it takes, definitely hit us up. We'd love to hear what you got.
Fantastic. And yeah, don't forget to listen to them. You can find, where can they find your music?
We are on just about every platform. You'll find us on Spotify, Shazam, Deezer, iHeartRadio, iTunes Radio. We're like all over the place,
Probably TikTok as
and
well.
we're going to keep that going. So,
You're going to become TikTok famous. How's it feel?
no, no, I don't think so.
Brilliant. Anyway, mate, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
No,
Really
thanks for
enjoyed
having me.
having you. And yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and support the artist and the podcast, of course. And I will see you next time.